Have you ever wondered what actually happens the moment you get arrested? Not the movie version, not the dramatic courtroom speech. I'm talking about the real, cold, step-by-step way prison guards treat you, and how that treatment changes drastically depending on what you did. Because here's the truth. Nobody tells you. A guard doesn't look at you the same way if you got caught running a red light versus if you're walked in for murder. The tone changes. The distance changes. The rules change. Everything changes. So in this video, we're going level by level, from the smallest possible offense all the way up to the most serious crimes a person can commit. And I'm going to walk you through exactly what happens, who gets involved, and how the guard's behavior shifts at every single stage. Level 1, minor infractions. You got pulled over, maybe your taillight was out, maybe you missed a court date for a parking ticket, and now there's a warrant. You get brought into the station, not even a real prison, just a holding area. At this level, the guard, or in some cases just a duty officer, treats you almost like an inconvenience rather than a threat. You'll notice they don't even bother handcuffing you tightly. Sometimes they don't cuff you at all once you're inside. They talk to you in a flat, almost bored tone. The involvement here is minimal, usually just one processing officer, maybe a supervisor signing off on release. No detectives, no psychological evaluation. You might get a citation, a small fine, or a court date, and then you walk out the same door you walked in. This is the lowest level of the system, and it shows in every single interaction. The guard's body language says it all. Relaxed shoulders, casual tone, quick paperwork, and a door held open for you on the way out. Level 2, misdemeanors. Now let's move one step up. You got caught shoplifting, or maybe you had one too many drinks and got a little too loud in public. This is a misdemeanor. Still minor, but now the system starts paying a bit more attention. Here you're no longer just standing in a hallway. You're placed in a holding cell, sometimes with other people who committed similar small offenses. The guard watching this area is more alert. He's not hostile, but he's not friendly either. He checks on the cell every few minutes, scanning faces, making sure nobody's arguing. You'll notice the tone of voice changes too. Instead of a casual chat, the guard speaks in short, clear instructions. Sit down. Wait here. Someone will process you soon. There's a small wall of formality now that wasn't there at level 1. At this stage, more people get involved. An intake officer takes your fingerprints and photo, a records clerk logs your information, and depending on the offense, you might spend a few hours or even overnight before bail or release. The guards aren't scared of you, but they treat you with a bit more caution because pettier crimes can still involve unpredictable behavior, especially if alcohol is involved. By the time you're released or bailed out, the guard's tone softens again slightly, almost like resetting back to neutral. But that brief window of extra caution, that's the first real sign of how the system starts adjusting itself to risk. Level 3, non-violent felonies. Now we cross into felony territory. Let's say you were caught with a significant amount of drugs, or you committed fraud, or you stole something worth a lot more money. This isn't a misdemeanor anymore. This is a felony, and the entire process shifts. The first thing you notice is the uniform. You're no longer in your street clothes. You're handed a jumpsuit, and from this point forward, you're processed like an actual inmate, not just a detainee. The guards here are noticeably more formal. They don't joke, they don't chit-chat. Every instruction is short and direct. Face forward, hands out, move to your left. You'll notice they keep a small but deliberate distance from you, enough to react if you make a sudden move, but not so far that they lose control of the situation. This is also where a classification officer gets involved for the first time. Their job is to assess your risk level. Are you a flight risk? Do you have a history of violence? Could you be a danger to others in a shared unit? Based on their assessment, you might be placed in general population, but you'll be watched a little closer for the first few days. The guard's demeanor toward you becomes more guarded, not hostile, but noticeably professional and detached. They're not friends, and they're not enemies. They're doing a job, and that job now includes documenting your every move a bit more carefully than before. Level 4, violent felonies. Now things start to feel different in a much bigger way. Let's say you were arrested for assault or armed robbery. Suddenly you're not walking anywhere alone. 2 guards escort you everywhere, 1 on each side, and they hold your arms with a firm, controlled grip. You notice how the guards talk now. It's not just short sentences, it's commands, and they expect immediate compliance. Don't look around. Keep walking, eyes forward. There's an edge in their voice that wasn't there before because now, in their minds, you represent a real physical risk. At this level, more staff get involved in every interaction. You're rarely alone with just 1 guard. It's almost always 2 or more, and there's usually a senior officer supervising nearby. Your housing assignment is reviewed carefully. If you have a history of aggression, you might be placed in a unit with closer monitoring, sometimes with cameras specifically trained on your cell block. You'll also notice the guards no longer make small talk, not even the neutral kind from earlier levels. Every word is functional. Every movement is watched. If you so much as raise your voice, you'll see guards subtly shift their stance. Feet apart, hands ready. Not because they expect a fight, but because they're trained to expect the possibility of one. This is the point where the system stops seeing you as someone to process and starts seeing you as someone to manage. Level 5. Serious violent crimes. Now we move into serious violent crime. Manslaughter, armed robbery that resulted in injury, crimes where someone got hurt badly, or worse. At this stage, you'll notice the entire room changes. It's not just 2 guards anymore. It's 3, sometimes 4, plus a supervisor watching from behind glass. The restraints are heavier now. Cuffs on your wrists and sometimes a chain connecting to your ankles, restricting how far or fast you can move. The guards don't just watch your hands anymore. They watch your eyes, your breathing, your posture, everything, because at this level, unpredictability is treated as a serious safety concern. This is also usually the first time a mental health evaluator gets involved, at least briefly, just to check your baseline state. Not out of sympathy, but because the facility needs to know if you're a risk to yourself or others while in custody. The guard's tone at this point is almost robotic, extremely controlled, extremely measured. They don't raise their voice because raising a voice can escalate an already tense situation. Instead, everything is calm, quiet, and firm. Stand here. Don't move until I say so. It might sound gentle, but make no mistake, every single guard in that room is fully alert, watching for the smallest sign of trouble. You are no longer housed in general population without careful review. Depending on the facility, you might go into a more restrictive unit with fewer privileges, less time out of your cell, and significantly more supervision during meals, showers, and recreation time. Level 6, murder/homicide. At the level of murder or homicide, everything about how you're treated becomes maximum caution. You're no longer walked through open hallways with general foot traffic. You move through separate, secured corridors, often at specific times when no other inmates are present. 4 guards is common at this stage. A tight formation around you, 2 ahead, 2 behind, moving in complete silence except for commands. There's no casual conversation, not even the clipped, functional kind from earlier levels. Every word is deliberate. Stop. Wait for the gate. Proceed. At this point, a warden or a senior official often personally reviews your case file before deciding your housing placement. You might be placed in a specialized high-security unit, sometimes with single-cell housing, meaning you don't share a room with anyone else. Your movement is logged constantly. Every guard who interacts with you writes a report afterward. The guards here rarely show emotion either way. Not warmth, not hostility, it's pure procedure. Every action is about control and documentation. You're not spoken to as a person with a story anymore. You're spoken to as a case number that requires careful, constant management. Level 7, death row/life without parole. Finally, we reach the highest level, death row or life without the possibility of parole. This is where the treatment becomes almost entirely procedural, stripped of anything personal. At this stage, You are almost always housed alone in a single cell, away from general population entirely. A guard is stationed nearby around the clock, sometimes with a rotating shift specifically assigned to monitor you and only you. Every meal, every movement, every visit is logged in extreme detail. You'll notice something strange here. The guards are almost unnervingly calm. Not because they don't take the situation seriously, but because after months or years of this level of procedure, it becomes routine for them. Checks happen on a strict schedule, every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes, depending on the facility's policy. If you're allowed outdoor time, it's often alone, in a small individual yard, with a guard watching from a distance the entire time. There's no more casual talk, no more clipped commands even. Sometimes there's almost total silence for hours. The system, at this final level, isn't designed to punish you loudly. It's designed to contain you quietly, completely, and permanently. So that's the full picture. From a simple traffic stop where a guard barely looks up from his paperwork, all the way to a life sentence where every 15 minutes of your day is logged by name. The treatment you receive isn't random. It's a direct reflection of risk, procedure, and consequence. If you found this breakdown interesting, let me know in the comments which level surprised you the most. And if you want more videos like this, breaking down real systems most people never see, make sure you're subscribed because there's a lot more coming.